Stress is probably one of the most underestimated factors that affects your weight loss. It's something that's under considered a lot. And I really believe that stress plays more of a havoc on your body than what people even give it the time for. These things are not easy. You know, we may have had habits for 20, 30, 40 odd plus years. We've got to start recognizing them and working on them. So we're not going to be getting, some people might recognize things straight away, others might. So remember, it takes time. So stress really does play havoc on your body. And it is something that with women, stress tends to hold weight around your belly. Okay, so we've got the cortisol rising, and you'll notice that if you find that you've got this weight around your belly and you can't kind of get rid of it, a lot of it can be to do with stress. You're eating well and you're exercising, you're like, why is this not shifting? A lot of it can do with stress. And I really, really feel that stress is a silent killer. Stress is something that I have had to spend a lot of time working on, and I am still learning how to manage it. I'm still really learning how to manage it, but I'm a lot better than what I was a couple of years ago. In my story, I remember my mum saying to me, "Oh, Renee, your life is so stressful." And I was like, what is she talking about? Like, it's just my life. When she said that, this one time, it just obviously set off a light bulb. And I started to think maybe things are stressful. But it was you just start living your life, and you don't recognize that you are that stressed. And stress carries in your body in different ways. And I truly believe that your body is your best teacher, and it really does teach you, and it will show in your body. So being a personal trainer, in lots of clients I've found, stress might come in their neck. So I kind of find the neck, the back are two really obvious, or hips, the two really obvious of where people tend to hold their stresses. So some people, and if you have something that kind of flares up all the time, I want you to start to become aware, is it flaring up because you're feeling stressed? Because a lot of people, that is the case, yeah. So I find it shows in different bodies. So going back onto my story. So my mum she'd said to me, I was talking about something, and I hadn't noticed that my life had got stressful. In this era, we want to do and achieve lots of things. Back in my grandparents' era, typically the female stayed at home and looked after the house, and the male tended to go to work, look after the house and the children and all of that. Well, this era now, we females are trying to do it all, as well as look after the family and have our own careers and do this and do that. And so life can be stressful, but it's understanding that stress doesn't have to be a big crazy event. That just little stresses can add up and take its toll on you over time. So for me, I got to this position where I had gained weight, and I was not comfortable with the weight I was at. It was all around my belly. And I was like, what is going on? Did all the things that I know, but nothing was shifting, and been to doctors and naturopaths and, got opinions and seen and, looked at my bloods, right, is this, and most of it was stress. So I've had to learn different, and it's been a long road, and a long road of an awareness, and a long road of realizing that, so then of different trial and errors. So I realized I had this weight on me that had just somehow crept up overnight. Like I remember one day not thinking everything, and then looking at the mirror and being like, I've got a belly. Like, where did that come from? And, totally, am I bloated? Like, what? And obviously as a trainer, you feel like there's an image you should be portraying. And, so then I thought, okay, I constantly suffer from low iron. So I thought, is my iron low? And I also, on top of everything else, I was just exhausted. I was burnt out, and I was waking up still feeling tired, even though I was going to bed even though I was going to bed on early, and getting my correct hours, and, my food was not perfect because life's not perfect, but it was pretty good. So I was like, I just could not. And my period started really playing up as well. So my period started really, where I'm someone that doesn't get period pain, but I started getting really severe period symptoms. And then I started noticing that I was like, around getting my period, I was becoming like a, angry hormonal person, which again is not usual for me. So I went on this, the first thing I did was after, I'd went to doctors and got opinions, and, because, but I started thinking about, okay, and after hearing my mum saying, Renee, your life, it's so stressful, I was like, there's things in my life that I can't change, or I don't want to change, and I had to really start to do the work on me. And this is a lot of the stuff that's in this program is what I had to do to kind of come around this. I had to do the work on me to work it out and to help me work through it. So the first thing I did is I thought, okay, I need to think about what's stressing me out. So I created a list. So I wrote down the list of the things that were stressing me. And then next to them, I had to start thinking what was in my control and what wasn't. And the things that were in my control, how could I work around it? So what could I change? So some of the biggest things I recognized is I'm a people pleaser. So I want to make everybody happy, and I always say yes to everything. So I was always saying yes to things. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll fit you in. And I was really fitting in different clients and different things all around what suited them instead of what suited me. And I was putting myself under more stress by trying to fit people in, and so that was one thing. And I was fitting people in too tight of a schedule. So I wasn't giving myself enough time between, or I was like having to be from one place to another. Like one client, I go to train her in the house. She's the only person I train in the house, and I find it really stressful. I was I gave myself 15 minutes to get from one place to the other. It's just over 10-minute drive. So that means I've got to finish a class, which I never finish exactly on time. I've got to finish the class, say goodbye to everybody, turn off the lights, get in the car, drive on a perfect day. So I gave myself not enough time at all. And I found that really, really stressful, because I was always like, come on, So I had to really look at my timings with things, because that was something that I found that was causing me a lot of stress. But I had control over that. I had control over the timings. And now I was going to her place 3 times a week. She comes to me once and I go to her once. So I eliminated those stress. My gran was living at my parents', and I wanted to go to try to see her as regularly as I could. They live 25 minutes away, so you've got to get there, spend the time, and come back home. And again, I was cutting my timing too fine. But then I was beating myself up with guilt if I couldn't go and see her. So, I had to kind of work through that. So I had to be like, I had to say I can't get there as often as I can. I had to let myself off the hook for those types of things, or I had to really make sure with my timing. So what I would be doing is I would try to connect it to the school run, and then my son is really anxious. Is really anxious, and he is getting better. But if you weren't waiting in a certain spot at school pickup, and if you were like a minute late, and I never have been, but it's something that he panicked about every day. So every morning he'd be like, Mum, can you make sure you're waiting in that spot? And that stuff caused me a lot of stress, because I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to hurt and because of how I know he acts if we're not there, because out of school, things that have happened, he gets really, really upset, so I was putting myself under all this pressure, and I was constant stress. So I had to look at my timings and change those things. So that's some of the things that I looked at changing. But they were the things I had control over. I had control over them, and I could make those changes. And that's why writing the list is one of the best things that you can do. I then also, there was other things that was causing me stress, that, there was some things that I had to realize, and it took me a long time to realize it, is you can only work on you. So I realized I was really stressed. I realized I was really stressed, but I was waiting or praying for it was with my husband. I was waiting and waiting for him to change. And I was expecting for him to get better, or for him not to be well, or for him to be well, and everything would be better when he would be well. And I caught myself kind of doing that. And this was a big eye-opener for me, is when I'd obviously been telling myself this story for a while, it will all be better when he's better, blah, blah, blah. And I had this realization, I can't keep waiting. I can't keep waiting for him to get better. I can only work on me. So I have to do the work on me. I can't wait for somebody else. You can't rely on anyone else. I can only rely on me. So from this day that I kind of had this realization, was when I was like, I'm putting all my eggs for someone else to make this change. And it's unfair on them. And maybe he doesn't want to change. So I had to work on myself, work on me, and through time, and through different type of therapies that I did, I was able to become more confident in what my beliefs, my values, what I really wanted, and be clear with that, and understand myself more, which is what I want all of you to get out of this program, because we all do different things for different reasons. But for me, for a long time, I'm a people pleaser, and I was doing things to make everybody else happy and putting myself last. I was too scared to stand up for myself and do what I wanted. And when I actually started doing that, I was happier, our relationships were happier, and the things that I feared would happen by doing it didn't happen, which was silly. And it was silly things, by even things like saying exercise is a big part of my life. It's something that is really important to me, but sometimes and my husband doesn't quite feel that way. But sometimes I struggled I would be like, because I spend all my morning training other people, I would be like, I felt bad, or I felt like I couldn't say, oh, I want to go and do something for myself now. So then I wouldn't, but then in the end, I wasn't helping myself. So I've learned ways to be able to fill my own, to make sure my cup is full, and I'm doing those things that I need. And he understands, and he didn't know, because I didn't explain it to him. I didn't really know myself. I didn't have that awareness. And I was doing so much for everyone else. And my personality is, you'll be okay, that's fine, make sure they're okay, do this. I was doing all of these things, and I made myself really stressed and really, really unhappy. And so these were the things that I had control over. So these are the things that I had control over, and I could change. I couldn't change how my husband was. I can change how I react to him. I can change how we interact. I can change those things, but I can't change how he acts. Things with my son, with his anxiety. His anxiety is it is getting better, but it takes a huge toll on our lives. Nippers is like a big thing. I'm just giving you examples of my life, because if you could understand what happens in my life, it might help you relate something to your own. But with Cooper, with nippers, he has this fear of, he has a fear that will go away, that we won't be there, because one day we were at Nippers and we had the cart with us, because Charlie was in the cart, and there's the hard sand. So Nippers is surf life-saving on the beach. And I feel it's really important. Me and my husband both feel it's really important. We live 10 minutes from the beach. The kids are going to grow up on the beach. They have to understand the surf and all of those things. So it's something that's really important to us. But so this one day we were walking, and they decided to do a tour. and we were at the, they were on the soft sand. It was too hard for the cart, so we were in the hard sand, and he couldn't see us, and he thought we'd left him, and he got really upset. And so from then on, he's held on to that thought or that memory that would happen all the time. So whenever we went to Nippers, and the thing is, he first joined to Nippers because he wanted to become a lifeguard. So he really loves it once he's there. And so then we were, so every week, at this time, my husband worked on a Sunday. So like last year or the year before, so the last couple of years, my husband, he's worked on a Sunday. So Nippers I'd have to do my own. So juggling the Nippers with Cooper, I have to stand where he can see me at all times. So when he's in the water, he wants to be able to see me because he panics that I'll be gone. And do you know what? The easy thing would be not to go. But that's not teaching him anything else, and it's not going to make his anxiety better. So it's freaking hard. So I'd stand on the beach, stand where he is. At the same time, Charlie's there. She wants to play in the water. She wants to do this. And when they do Nippers, they do these activities and they move around. So every time I had to move around, I had to stand in a certain point so he could see me. So it was really, really stressful. And then he also changed his anxiety onto Charlie. So where is she? What is she doing? And so for the whole hour or 2 hours, you're kind of on edge. Because I knew he loved, and I knew this is something we've got to work through, and I didn't want to give up on it. And I was always questioning myself, where is a line? Where is a line of when I give up or I keep going? I don't know, and I still don't know. And that was my every week. That was twice a week. And, and then again, it took, like I said, my husband worked on Sunday. So, and it had got worse and worse and worse. And I think, again, you just start living with it and you don't recognize how bad it gets until somebody from the outside comes in. So he came to one of the training sessions and he was like, that was one of the most stressful hours ever. And I said to him, this is my life. I've done this for 2 years, like twice a week. And it's hard. And so, so we had to start to learn different strategies to help him cope and to help us cope. But that was something that, again, was taking, and so presents its ways in different ways. And I struggled to think that I was stressed because I don't have a sick child. I don't have a disability. I don't have, I haven't been abused. I haven't been, I don't have obvious traumas. I haven't had people die. I haven't had, like some really, I didn't have a car accident. So I struggled to think that I could really feel stressed, or that stress was, because I didn't have obvious stresses when, I know women that, women that have this and that, and I'm like, oh my God, how do you cope? But so I struggle to understand, and this is what I feel a lot of women have the same issues, that they have their stresses, but your everyday things in your life, missing, running late for the school run is stressful. If you have a stress in your work or the stress, of getting something done by a certain time, all of those things are stresses that take a toll on your body. And what I was saying is these are my examples of stresses that I realized I had and that I'd got so used to, I was just living with it, and they'd kind of taken over a lot of my life and were making me unhappy. And I had to work out how, with Cooper with Nippers this year, I'm not sure what we're going to do. So I'm not sure whether he goes to therapy, he goes to a psychologist, and we have worked out that it's the crowds from Nippers. I am wondering this year if, because Charlie really wants to do Nippers, this year I'm wondering whether we join him up to surfing lessons and he does surfing. Or he sticks to. With that, the hardest thing is seeing that he, like I have photos of him and he's got this big smile on his face and he loves it, and he loves when he gets the board in. And so I'm not sure. So that's where we're at with Lance. But I'm just saying that because Nippers only runs for 6 odd months of the year. So these things take their toll. They really do take their toll. And what I really want you to start learning is how this takes its toll on your body. And there are things that you can control and things you can't control. And that's what we're going to start looking at first. And the things that you can control, you can do something about, and you can make changes to that. So as I said before, getting to school was a stressor, and it was always a stressor. And, I realized I was cutting things too fine and trying to please everybody. And I had to really stop and think. And as time's gone on, I've got a lot better at stopping and thinking. But when traffic is, you might be taking the kids to school and the traffic is, and you're going to be late. And I've just had to go, I can't do anything about this. I can't change the traffic. I can't change that I'm stuck in the traffic. It just is what it is. And so I've kind of, I can talk to myself and calm myself down. The other day, just coming back from school, I had a class at 9:00 and there was an accident. And just getting from school to my house, there is my kids' school, there's 3 other schools you've got to kind of go through. So there's always a lot of traffic. And sometimes when there's an accident on the motorway, it just banks everything up. And the school was actually 7 minutes from my house. But as soon as I turned off from the school area onto the motorway, it was gridlock. And I thought, half an hour would be okay. It took me half an hour to get home. And all I did was I didn't stress about it but prior to doing the work, understanding myself and really working on myself and how I would have been really stressing, I just thought, who can I message who have a phone? Message them, because there's nothing I could do about it. And so it's really thinking, if it's something that you can't control, you can't do anything about it. You have to just let it go and just go with it. And the more that you're holding on to it, getting angry or annoyed, it's just eating away at you more than anything. And so I just messaged a couple of members that I knew were coming, and I said to them, and they were like, no worries, because I knew that they'd be able to tell other people. And I got back to 9. I got back just at 9. So this is the start of our stress, of working on our stress. And like I said, it's not something that you're going to fix straight away, but awareness is the key. So once we start becoming aware. So your first task is to write a list. What are the things that stress you? And please, no matter how tiny they are, write them down. Do you know what used to stress me? Something else, sorry. That used to stress me was dirty dishes. Yep, dirty dishes. So I realized that was something that was stressing me out. So I then, instead of leaving I made the effort to, even if I was feeling tired, just do the dishes, because if you leave into the morning, you feel crappier and more stressed out. So don't do it. So no matter how little the thing is, write it down. And then in the next column, is it something you can control, something you can't control? If it's something you can't control, then you can't change that. So let's not keep stressing about it, okay? Let's look at letting that go, but let's look at fixing the things you have control over. And then let's start to look at some strategies of what you could put in. And maybe you have to trial and error things, which is exactly what I did. Some things, I tried this, no, that didn't work. It's okay. I'll try something else. I'll keep trying things. And like I said, it's a process. It's a big process. But yeah, let's start getting those lists done as your first task. And I'm really excited to see how you go.